It feels good to be back again on a midweek edition of Breakfast Central, and we are indeed excited. Yes, when I say we, well, Olive is around somewhere.
She's doing the work of the Lord.
All right, anyway, she joins us in a bit, but as usual, we just need to keep going and set the ball rolling, set the ball in motion. You know, I'm in the mood like...
You're rapid.
You know, I'm in the mood.
Are you sure you're not going to take a, side...
Hustle
and rapid?
Yo.
This new cats ain't got nothing on you.
They have nothing on me, bro. They have nothing on me. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, welcome to Breakfast Central. I'm Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga Abure. This is where we bring you the brightest, the latest, the most informative, and we break down the analysis for you. The biggest stories in the country and more. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. And let's get the ball rolling. It was expected. I mean, if you could script it, you could probably script everything that happened at the National Assembly complex yesterday in Abuja. But it would be nice to also have Olive here.
Yeah. So let's. Do you mind if we just pause?
Mommy, next time, please. It's either you are sleeping or you are watching the.
Olive, when you were in high school, what sports did you participate?
That's a very good question. Thanks for that question.
Your Honor.
Well, it was a number of things. I was a prefect. And I remember the day that...
sports?
Get
straight to the
I remember the day that
This is how you start when you want to hear the lie.
I remember the day that I went to the court to play basketball. Wait now. As I was there trying to play basketball, my students, my juniors were like, SP, you will break, oh. So that was the end for me.
That's what
you were senior prefect?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No wonder. You couldn't play basketball in the court, but you ended up in the law court. So you still made it.
Yeah, too wise. That's my issue with you.
You know, just before we end this Super Falcons conversation, you know, Brazil, you know the Brazilian legend, female legend, Martha. That's what Azizat Oshola has become.
Yeah, it is for Nigeria. I agree.
Megan Rapinoe for the United States.
Great one for the...
Do you think they can beat Morocco? Have you seen Morocco?
They're very they're fantastic. Also,
I believe in our girls.
There's home advantage.
It doesn't matter.
There's home advantage.
It doesn't matter. You don't see her wearing band. Jesus is king. It doesn't matter. I'm waiting for our girls to bring back the trophy.
He's just a normal king now. We are talking of Jesus.
Exactly. You don't see them celebrating yesterday and singing to Gays Babas. No turning back, no turning back. I'm so proud of our girls. Thank you and well done. On behalf of all of us, you know, the whole Nigeria thanks you.
And I'm sure some politicians will be dusting their passports. They will definitely be there in Morocco.
Maybe Peter Obi will be there. You know, usually he's always there to support.
I mean, come on, let's give him a break. But he might be there.
He might be there to support. He's always there to support. He went to Senegal,
Côte d'Ivoire. For the
AFCON. I mean, he's always very supportive.
Who's that?
But Peter Obi, he may go there for the.
Talking about Peter Obi.
Right.
Peter Obi has been in the news consistently. I was doing an analysis. I mean, aside from the fact that the girls have won, congratulatory messages were flying around on X yesterday from different, in quotes, personalities. But I also found out that the name you just mentioned has been in the news for the past 10 days.
Because it's Peter Obi now.
Back to back.
You cannot see.
Even yesterday, the FCT minister couldn't help but talk about him when he was commissioning the Edo line that has been brought back in Edo State, and Opevolo was there, and the FCT minister had to say, that one is sharing food, carrying rice. I'm like, what is the problem? Why are you bringing him back? You're commissioning something in the Edo State. You had no other choice than to go back and mention.
You know why he mentioned it? Because the governor also made reference to it. The governor said that basically said, you need to open encyclopedia for you to understand.
So these are adults gossiping.
They're not gossiping. They're gossiping. They'll be saying it in the hush.
Just brandishing.
He was basically just trying to double down on what he said. And look, it doesn't matter how people drag me on international and national television. I said what I said, and what I said
with my full chest.
Peter Obi must take permission from me before coming to my state. Although that's a very implicating statement. And why I say this is because if you're saying that you can't guarantee his security if he doesn't take it means that you are saying that your state is not a secure state.
Exactly.
You're failing at your job in being able to provide security for the average Nigerian.
Today is Women's Wednesday.
Yes, Women's Crush Wednesday.
So I'm going back to Morocco. we need to talk about the turnout. This same Morocco that wanted to bid for the World Cup. I mean, why do you put in a bid for hosting rights if people are not going to watch the games? It was, I mean, these are the finest teams on parade, and the stadium was empty. They were almost like 800, maybe 835 people. And if you remember, if you remove Albert and Onye Obaro, there will be 830 people or 33 people. So Morocco needs to do better.
That's one.
Turnout is terrible. When you see the finals, the whole of Morocco will come and they will chop beating.
Well, I am certain.
In Jesus' name.
I am certain that the Super Falcons will come out victorious.
They have to.
They have to.
And
But
we
I
have to
think
support them.
beyond that, beyond the story of Morocco not showing up to watch the match, I think it's also a general attitude to how we perceive female football. And we need more people to show up in supporting female football. When Arsenal or Arsenal is playing, the men, you see the stadium. If it's the women, you see it's not the
screen. It was men's Nations Cup. The streets were empty yesterday.
No, exactly. The streets will be empty. Everybody will be there.
Will be shouting.
So we need more people, more women, more men to be in support of
I second
female
that.
But the funny thing is, the favorite sports in Morocco is actually football, and then of course you have athletics and so on. So I wonder why. But like you said, I think you've nailed it because it's it's a female.
Okay, let's move away from one very.
My woman crush Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And next week you will also be.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Let's move away from women who's jealous.
Man crush Monday. He's doing like this. He's eyeing me.
We'll give him on Monday. We'll give him on Monday.
I'm trying to manage it.
Let's talk about excellent women. The excellent women in football. To another woman that many have referred to as resilient, dogged, and even excellent in the way she has fought for herself and in the way she's carried herself. The interviews she's granted to the press. Yesterday we saw the interview that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan granted outside the assembly complex, where she was barred from resuming her legislative functions. Let's give you clips of this, and then we'll come back to share our thoughts about this as well.
She elected. This is not she elected. Behave yourself. She's our senator. She's our senator. She needs to enter. Don't behave yourself. She needs to represent us. Don't behave. You're not supposed to hold back. Somebody go with another form. Don't behave yourself here. Elected. To represent our people and our rights. Yes. Accepting of the guarantees. Woman, vote the woman. Yes. Stop her. We are with our senator. We are with you.
Senator representing Kogi Central.
Kogi Central. Why are you here for, please?
I'm here to resume my duty.
Senator, please.
May I also know you, please?
Staff of the National Assembly.
No, exactly. What's your designation? You are a staff of the National Assembly. From which department? Excuse me, I'm having a conversation with you. Gentleman, you are a staff of the National Assembly? You are the security. Okay, so may I know why a staff of the National Assembly will stop a serving senator from walking into the chambers to commence her functions and representing her people who have duly given her the mandate as elected and as sworn in through a duly issued certificate of return by INEC to carry out her constituted functions. So may I know why a security from the National Assembly will stop a serving senator from walking in? And can I see written authority of your mandate to stand here right before me?
We can't hear you, sir.
A written authority.
Not going to say anything.
A written mandate.
We are here. He knows we are not giving authority to allow her to come into the complex. That is
speak loud. I can't
No,
hold on, because
Please,
we want to know who you are and why you are here.
We want to see your...
On whose instruction are you here, sir?
it's okay. I've asked him the questions. I believe I deserve an answer.
You don't have an answer?
Where is I would say this pretty much is a shame that we have had so many good Senate presidents. We've had Chuba Akpabio of blessed memory. We've had Senator David Mark. We've had Bukola Saraki. We've even had Ahmed Lawal, who is a senator right now. And I'd say this pretty much is the worst assembly Nigeria has ever had. And I hope we will not have to suffer this anymore, because it tells a lot on the individual. And I've said this before and I'm saying it again. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio runs the Nigerian Senate as if it's the third-term governor of Akwa Ibom. Many senators are afraid. You've all seen what happened. You are not allowed to speak. When you try to speak or air your views on certain issues that are critical, you get shut down if it does not conform with what he wants. So far, I've not been given any official reason. I've only read on the papers yesterday that I should not resume today because the Senate has appealed. And that is why I presented to you that the Senate has not appealed the judgment. It is Akpabio himself. He is abusing power by willing the entire institutions to fight me. It's a personal vendetta that Akpabio is unleashing on me by hiding under the wings of the institutions, and it is wrong. It is totally wrong, because you can't have his own senatorial district deprive the Kogi Central of representation. There is just no reason why these gates should not be open. But by and large, considering the fact that the Senate is vacating tomorrow, whenever they deem it fit to resume, we would resume as well. So what matters most is all the pressures and all the calls of me apologizing for no wrong that I did. I have refused to do that. So if it means staying the entire 6 months for an unjust suspension, which I'm repeating again, has been quashed by the courts, so be it. I have pretty much been busy with my constituents on the brighter side. You've all seen, we've been carrying out a lot of projects in the past few months. And that is true to my nature, because I am a technocrat. I'm a lawyer. I'm an oil and gas expert. My formative year in my career were in the oil and gas industry. So I got into politics because I wanted to create a different mark for other people like me who wants to venture into politics. I also got into politics because I want to intentionally raise the standard of leadership. It's enough for us in Africa to sit down and admire leaders or politicians from other smaller African countries, not talk of the European world and the other Western world. So I hope that with this journey so far, however it goes, people should muster strength from me, and I hope that 2027 we will have more courageous, younger, educated, intentional leaders that will be elected into office, so that together we can change the narrative of Nigeria.
The shots fired. More courageous, educated, younger, intentional leaders.
Yeah, but she's right. That's the dream of the nation. That's what we want. We want leaders that will serve the people and not their pockets. And
when you look at the extended interview that she granted the press, there's so many things to highlight. One, the fact that she's saying that her people are they're deprived of representation. The Kogi Central people are being deprived of representation by a fellow senator who typically should not have the power to ensure or determine that another senator goes or, is excused from performing her duties. There's a minimum amount of time she should appear before the House, 181 days in a year. And one wonders if after this suspension, she's able to get up to 181 days in a year. There's also another aspect. The Senate is set to go on recess today to resume, I think, end of September. 2 months. September, yes. End of September. So what that means, or what she believes, is that all of this tactic is being put in place to ensure that she completes the 6-month term initially determined by the Senate. She also did say, when we talked about the appeal and how there's been an appeal against the decision for her to return to the House, she says that the Senate did not appeal, that it was Godswill Akpabio that appealed in his personal capacity.
Yeah.
And if he's appealing in his personal capacity, then that's sort of different from what the initial issue was. The initial issue was with the Senate, not particularly with Godswill Akpabio. And he has taken this, it's really become a more personal issue, and she strongly believes that this is a case of personal vendetta.
Interesting take, and all of this would have been avoidable. The whole world is watching Nigeria at this moment. The High Court also, some analysts have put the blame at their doorstep, saying that their interpretation or their judgment was kind of ambiguous. It didn't state in clear terms that she should resume, and they faulted at that aspect of judgment. However, I mean, the Senate knowing that, okay, she spent a few months in suspension, the court has spoken, you know these sort of things are bound to happen. You could have sent emissaries or have back-channel discussions to avoid all this sort of drama. I believe the people of Kogi Central have been deprived of their representation, and they deserve to have a representative, a senator, in the House, in the Senate chambers.
You know, she also threw shade at the Nigerian police. She said these are the same people who were outside. It wasn't her, by the way, that said that. It was Aisha Yusuf, who said that these are the same people that were out protesting days before, and now they're here doing the bidding of the legislature. Bear in mind that we've had the conversation on this show talking about where the bulk of the blame lies in terms of ensuring that the Nigerian police are guaranteed a better quality of life. And we talked about the ability of the Senate to wield legislative instruments for the benefit of the Nigerian police. Yet, these ones are here, again, doing the bidding. So it feels like what the Senate is basically dealing with misplaced priorities. There's so many pressing issues. Note so many pressing issues they should focus on, not this.
Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan did send 2 letters prior to a resumption.
Yeah. She sent to the IG.
And they did not respond to her. She said whatever she heard was basically the responses from media, social media. They didn't respond to her from what we're hearing. But let's get reactions from social media. Of course, Nigerians are talking about this, and here's what they have to say about it. Our first tweet is from Sean Pepiski. It says, a duly elected senator being denied access and getting blocked from heading to the National Assembly, having to come down and walk all the way there because she's at loggerheads with another politician is beyond shameful. What is the point of rule of law in Nigeria if the supposed lawmaker ignores it? Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan got a ruling in her favor at the Federal High Court about 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, stating that she be recalled to the Senate. Can someone please explain why Godswill Akpabio allegedly told the security to deny her access? Is Akpabio above the law? That is the first tweet. And the next one says, Honorable Natasha says she's coming to the National Assembly. SP Akpabio invited DSS, SSS, police, and HQ to secure NASS premises. Some LGAs in Benue State are still under the control of bandits. Not to talk of the neglected North. Nigeria's problem is definitely its weak citizens. And this tweet is definitely fact. Did you see the security presence outside the Senate?
It was heavy.
You think that there was a war?
One senator. Was she coming to
bomb? Was she coming to bomb the National Assembly?
It obviously tells you that they're afraid of her.
No.
Right?
I mean,
for them to be able to do that, it's beyond shameful.
I mean, not to mince words. You said it. It's beyond shameful.
We have a few more tweets. Let's take some more reactions on X. Our next tweet is from Abure, who says Senator Natasha wasn't at the National Assembly thinking they'll allow her way in. The senator was there to prove to the world how cruel and unserious Akpabio-led Senate is. Okay. All right, we have another one. It says, this fight, no add up. I read the court ruling and there is no court order compelling the Senate to let her resume. The court, while acknowledging the power of Senate internal rules, urged Senate to allow Natasha to resume sittings. Let's not twist facts for sympathy. So this is part of what the argument is. They're saying that the ruling of the court was suggestory. It was a suggestion, and it was not a mandatory order. And our final tweet this morning is from Amin. It says, the Nigerian judiciary is setting a dangerous precedent by not ordering the arrest of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan and Aisha Yusuf, disrupting the National Assembly and ignoring the rule of law shouldn't be tolerated. No one is above the law, not even activists with hired crowd. My question is, ordering their arrest on what ground?
Exactly.
What is the basis of the
ordering the arrest? He's talking about, you have a set of people who are equally saying that those who went there yesterday alongside the suspended senator should also be held accountable for the actions they displayed yesterday. And the reason is because they say they equally were breaking the law. And yes, they said they were breaking the law, that just like you read in the previous tweet, There was no direct order, according to them, that said that she should actually return to the Senate. And so it's a mixed reaction.
Yeah, it's
let me
subject to
just
interpretation.
Yes, so there are different subjects to interpretation.
I wouldn't say they've broken any laws.
And the reason for this problem, Benga and Olive, I mean, while looking at it holistically, there are some who will tell you that, okay, the Justice Nyako binding order was simply stating that the suspension was excessive. It was too much, and therefore it should be looked into. So it was more like Olive also mentioned, the word was more suggestive, but it did not state clearly. See, whether we like it or not, we did have a guest who joined us here a few days ago. And one of the statements he made was what I had always said in my heart, that the justice system should make clarity or make things clear for Nigerians in their judgment.
And then case in point, Labour Party,
there's so many
issues.
It's like just like the guest said, it's like you're throwing it there.
State too.
You're throwing it there for people to now interpret the way they want.
Yeah,
so
we need finality.
Clear case. I mean, Justice Nyako has spoken. He also did make that suggestion, stating clearly that, listen, it is too long. Why don't you just go ahead and state clearly that, listen, this is not acceptable. This shouldn't be. This is the reason why.
I'm sure it's one of the issues.
And that's why you have
the
people
upcoming NBA conference in Enugu State, and the Nigerian Judicial Council should look at this, because it's beginning to cause a lot of.
You mentioned Labour Party. We have problem there. This Natasha's situation,
local
there's
government
problem.
issues.
Guess what? We had a lawyer here yesterday. He clearly stated that she should be allowed to get back to the National Assembly. But somewhere, somehow, I saw another lawyer who said no, she's not allowed to get back to the National Assembly. This is because section this and section that. I mean, Olive, this is your field. And then you get different interpretations and mentions. And then the common man, I'm always concerned about the common man, which is myself, every other person who doesn't really have enough time to go through the entire sections and so on and so forth. Why don't you just make it simple, clear, and plain? If it was simple that, listen, you will not be allowed, I don't think she would have wasted time, because what we just did now is we just put Nigeria on the map again in a shameful way.
Absolutely.
A shameful
I mean,
color.
Olive didn't get to.
A shameful
You
way.
didn't get to play football in high school. The ball is now in your court. Do your thing, please. I want to hear your analysis. You are the most qualified on this table to give us
at the end of the day,
analysis.
I think
as a member of the Nigerian Bar Association.
Well, as a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, I would say that I'm going to report a number of what has been said. Some have referred to the judgment as judicial indiscretion, saying that Justice Nyako, after admitting that it was excessive, the suspension was excessive, while admitting to the fact that the Senate does have power to discipline, its people, they have power to carry out internal issues, to sort out internal regulations, but that the suspension was excessive. She's entitled to 181 days in a year. And after saying all of this, it was expected that there would be a mandatory order stating a directive that she automatically be recalled to the House. It felt like, what we're seeing here is the interpretation. Some are interpreting it to say that it was an advisory statement. Again, they can head to the court to grant interpretation. The unfortunate part is the Senate is going on recess today. So even if they head back to the court to get the interpretation, she will not be able to sit in the House until the end of September. But we'll keep our fingers crossed. Several lawyers have called for different parts of, have asked for different things. Femi Falana has asked that she be reinstated. I mean, if you look at the papers, there's a headline. Which paper is that? Yes, the Vanguard says, Senate bound by order of Justice Nyako to recall Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan forthwith. That is according to Leonard SAN, Femi Falana. But we'll continue to follow the story and see where the next step leads. The one thing you will know is that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan always says that she's a law-abiding citizen and that she will not break the law to be able to ensure the establishment of the rights of her people. But that's all that we have this morning on Breakfast Central. Any extra words before we get to our
Thank you
headlines?
very much, Barrister Emodi Esquire. No, we don't have anything at the end of that. We're just ordinary Mr. Johansson, Mr. Gbenga Boro, and
It's understandable. We are all ordinary people.
Let's bring you our top stories,
Exactly.
please, as we start the show officially.
This morning on Breakfast Central, rebased GDP grows by 3.13% in Q1 2025, and crisis persists as Obi rejects Datti Abure Pact. And now we're moving on from politics to the addressing survivors' welfare, of course looking at the killings in Plateau. Akpoti-Uduaghan bowed, state creation debunked, loans approved. Senate plenary will be joined by very seasoned guests for that, and also reviewing the newspaper front pages where your thoughts matters. So please get your phone ready to call in when we open the phone line.
Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP grew by 3.13% year-on-year in real terms in the first quarter of 2025. This is according to the latest report by the National Bureau of Statistics. On Monday, according to the Bureau, this represented an improvement of over the 2.27% growth recorded in the corresponding period of 2024.
The NBS in its Q1 2025 GDP report said the economic performance in the quarter was driven mainly by the services and industry sectors. The report read, gross domestic product grew by 3.13% year-on-year in real terms in the first quarter of 2025. This growth rate is higher than the 2.27% recorded in the first quarter of 2024. Meanwhile, the country's GDP as of 2019 has been rebased to 205 trillion naira.
Well, this was according to Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adeniran. The figure, according to him, showed an increase of 41.7% compared to the figures obtained during the 2014 GDP rebasing exercise. The National Bureau of Statistics has recalibrated the way we calculate GDP, and what we now see is growth. But is it real growth or just a statistical glow-up? I'm sure you're also wondering when we say rebase and we're talking about growth and so on and so forth. But never worry, we do have joining us this morning the Executive Chairman, the 16th Council UK Founder, Africa Economic Summit. Dr. Brian Reuben joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So as usual, I'm going to go straight to simplicity, trying as much as possible to simplify this, especially for our viewers and those who are possibly wondering what rebase simply means, looking at the previous GDP and the current GDP that we do have, and the fact that Nigerians in certain quarters are already celebrating Q1. Can you make sense out of this so we can truly benefit from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So to rebase an economy basically means to update it. It doesn't mean that anything has changed, but the lens through which you're looking at that economy has changed. Because you see, over time, things change, consumer spending pattern, the structure of the economy, new people getting into the economy, all of this happen. And periodically, it's standard practice actually periodically to update, to rebase the economy, which is just simply updating, as I did say. And the newly rebased GDP figures marks a pivotal moment on how we understand and engage with the Nigerian economy. Because by updating the base year to 2019, the data now reflects the true scale and diversity of economic activities, especially as we see in services, real estate, digital sectors that were previously undercounted. The rebasing now reveals that the Nigerian economy is not only larger than what we thought, but also undergoing a fundamental transformation. And that means shifting away from oil dependence towards a more diversified and dynamic model. This growth that we see, the growth rate of, I think about 3.13% in Q1, driven largely by services and industry, confirms that there is an ongoing transition. However, though I will have to say that while the numbers, the headline numbers has improved, the real challenge lies in translating this updated economic picture into policies that boost productivity, expand formalization, and improve citizens' livelihood. Basically, it's important to understand that rebasing is standard economic practice. In fact, it's long overdue in Nigeria because in places like the UK and the US, they don't just rebase based on fixed term. They rebase as it's necessary. 5 years mostly, an economy should be rebased and standard practice everywhere. So this is very important. It's not a mere turning numbers around. The economy needs to be updated because there are a lot of reasons why that has to happen. And this is not the first time. The first time Nigeria rebased the economy was in 1975, and then again in 2014. Using 2010 as a base year. And since then, this is the next time. That's more than a decade, all right? So rebasing is a very fundamental economic practice.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. I mean, it was long overdue, the rebasing of the economy. But now let's talk about this 3.13% growth that we're seeing. How much of it is as a result of the rebasing of the economy, and how much of it is actual economic activity?
Okay, so you see, like I did say, the rebasing of the economy doesn't mean that anything has changed. Rebasing actually just shows you what's already happening, all right? So look at it, 2010, and that's the last time we did this, right? So over time, a lot has changed. What rebasing does is not to change the economy, is to change how you look at it, you see? For example, sectors like digital services, fintech, and all of that could not have been accurately captured. This has given us a chance to capture that and its impact. Look at real estate, for example, and what the implications of that represent. So the 3% growth, it's not as a result, it's not because we rebased, all right? But the rebasing has given us a chance to see what the economy truly looks like. That's what rebasing does for you. It doesn't change the facts or structure of the economy. It just shows you what the economy is looking like.
Now, Dr. Brand Ruben, you did say that this 3.1% growth, a lot of it, the sector responsible for a lot of the huge percentage of this growth was the service sector. How do we translate this, or can this growth account for employment into the service industry? Is there any way that the figures that we've seen and the industry responsible for it can help reduce unemployment in the country, unemployment levels?
Well, rebasing gives everybody, the government, international organizations, a chance to see what an economy looks like. So rebasing is useless except you take action based on it. For example, if you just mentioned a sector, it should guide government decision to know what action to take, right? If you see the service sector growing, for example, which is not a very good thing, by the way, for an economy like Nigeria with a population of over 200 million people, right? We should see more of manufacturing, we should see more of factories and all of that. But when we see services growing, that's not a very good indicator. However, it gives the government a chance to come up with the right policies, formulate policies that can address the discoveries that we have seen as a result of rebasing the economy. So to that extent, yes, it will guide government decision. It will help government understand what areas to give better attention to. That's what the rebasing does in this sense.
All right, let's look at the aspect of Nigeria's dependence on oil and gas. Can we now say that we're starting to shift away from that? And the current economic situation, we are not certain what will happen to oil prices globally. How will this impact on the rebasing, the economy bouncing back, and especially the celebration that's going on for Q1?
Okay, fantastic. So what's fascinating about this is the reshuffling of economic rankings. For decades, Nigeria's economy has been perceived as overwhelmingly oil dependent. Now, with agriculture trailing behind services, based on the current figures, or while oil remains critical, oil dependence with agriculture, the rebased data, reveals that crop production and trade are top performers, contributing over 17% and 17.2%, I think thereabout, respectively, to the economy in 2019. We also see telecommunications. That now accounts for nearly up to 7% of the GDP. And then we're seeing the rise of real estate to a top place, which speaks volumes about urban growth and increased economic activity beyond formal sectors. So it highlights how Nigeria is rapidly urbanizing, all right, and how informal housing and property market drive wealth creation, even if this does not offer always enter official records. But again, you know that while we rejoice about the figures, that's again, it's not enough really, because like I did say, it is about what we do with what the economy, is now showing us that truly matter. We have seen this. It's not a hurry yet. Government has, again, it gives us the advantage, because you see also we live in a world where narratives have become very important. So to that extent, the rebasing is very important because the narratives are now used as official economic statecraft. It's not just about what you have, but also how you are able to tell the story. So Nigeria can now say, tell stories like, look, the economy is as large as this, and the economy is growing. So that should boost the investor confidence. And if that works, when we use this narrative, we can also attract investment into the country. But as I did say, that is not sufficient. It is good that we know what the economy looks like exactly. It can help us in dealing with a lot of issues, all right, with international organizations, with investors, and in making policy decisions. But it's not sufficient, to move the economy forward. It depends on what we do with it.
Yeah, Dr. Baba-Ahmed, you said it's not enough to just celebrate these figures. The government needs to act on it. If you were in an advisory position to the economic planners in Nigeria, what needs to be done to make this translate into real purchasing power for the ordinary people, and what do we need to do to maintain this positive trajectory and also improve on it?
Well, the rebasing sets a new baseline for Nigeria's economic trajectory. It positions the country more firmly. Yeah, I know Nigeria is still the fourth largest economy, but that title can solidify. We solidify that with consistent reforms and investments, right? But more importantly, it challenges policymakers. This is what it's going to do for us. It's to challenge policymakers to align fiscal and monetary strategies, with this updated economic reality. For instance, if you know the true size and structure of the informal sector, that can help design targeted formalization policies that will encourage tax compliance without stifling growth. Also, recognizing the rise of real estate and telecommunication means prioritizing infrastructure, digital connectivity, and urban planning. And also, an increased GDP improves critical ratios like debt to GDP, which can enhance Nigeria's borrowing capacity and investor confidence. Of course, we don't expect that Nigeria uses this as a reason to keep borrowing for just any reason. It has to be for productive, purposes. However, if you're going to translate these numbers into improved living standards, it will require sustained efforts on productivity, governance, and inclusion. Now, in essence, the rebasing is both an accounting update and a clearer call, a call to action, a clearer, more honest mirror that shows Nigeria where it is, and it also hints at where Nigeria can go.
All right, Dr. Baba-Ahmed, thank you very much for joining us this morning and breaking this down to us as clearly as you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move away from that conversation to another one this time. Drama ensued at the gates of the National Assembly as a suspended Kogi State lawmaker Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan was denied access into the National Assembly complex to resume duties despite a court pronouncement which described the suspension as excessive and in need of review. Now, the lawmaker described the blockade as an act of legislative lawlessness, accusing the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, of contempt and personal vendetta. Now, inside the chamber, however, lawmakers, pressed on with the legislative business, setting aside Wednesday to hold a valedictory session in honor of late President Muhammadu Buhari. Well, our National Assembly correspondent, Sigeri Ibrahim, brings details of the whole drama.
Security operatives prevented federal lawmaker Natasha. It was a tense morning at the National Assembly as security operatives prevented federal lawmaker Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan from entering the complex. Flanked by supporters and journalists, the embattled senator described the act as an unconstitutional denial of access, maintaining that her suspension had been set aside by a valid court.
However they want to interpret the literal words, interpretation of the words, it is still a decision of a court and it is still binding on the National Assembly.
This kind of injustice must not be allowed to continue. Senator Akpabio is not the constituted authority of Nigerians. Nigerians, if it can happen to a senator, it can happen to anybody. Let us speak up for injustice and irregularities when we see so.
While Natasha stood locked out, plenary resumed inside, with the Senate announcing plans to hold a special session on Wednesday to honor former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died in London on July the 13th at the age of 82. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, also used the opportunity to dismiss reports that 12 new states had been created under the ongoing constitution review. Raised under Order 42 on matters of urgent national importance, Bauchi Central Senator Abdul Ningi described the news as fake and frivolous.
The social media report that the National Assembly has penciled 12 states is fake, is toxic, and is an irresponsible media outlet.
It's important the public knows that the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has not even concluded the processes of getting a final report for deliberation.
Meanwhile, the Red Chamber approved the federal government external borrowing plan for 2025 to 2026, which includes loans totaling over $21 billion, 2.1 billion euros, and 15 billion Japanese yen, as well as 65 million euros grant to fund key infrastructure and development projects.
Those in favor of the committee say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Additionally, lawmakers gave the green light for the issuance of a domestic bond worth 757.9 billion naira to offset outstanding pension liabilities, along with a $2 billion capital raise for the Debt Management Office's new foreign currency bond initiative. In Abuja for News Central, Sigeri Ibrahim.
The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for urgent transition to renewable energy, saying that this will bring tremendous benefit to the global economy, and he of course will be exploring this in further details. This was of course taken during a Watch Party panel discussion on climate change and green energy at the United Nations headquarters in New York, and our correspondent Nentawe joined the session from the UN headquarters in Abuja. Let's take a look.
Urgent need to accelerate the global energy transition and reduce dependency on fossil fuels. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says that renewable energy is the most cost-effective solution for the future.
A new data released today from the International Renewable Energy Agency shows that solar, not so long ago 4 times the cost of fossil fuels, is now 41% cheaper. Offshore wind, 53%. And over 90% of new renewables worldwide produced electricity for less than the cheapest new fossil fuel alternative. This is not just a shift in power, this is a shift in possibility.
The event also witnessed the release of a special report with the support of United Nations agencies and partners, as well as the World Bank highlighting the journey so far since the Paris Agreement, which has sparked a clean energy revolution.
Because we have young people in the room, the Secretary General talks about jobs. And the just energy transition creates jobs for young people. So we don't even have to struggle anymore as a people or as a country, because this brings about jobs, and not just jobs, but sustainable jobs and livelihood, particularly for young people.
The United Nations chief appealed for renewed COP30 commitments and national climate strategies that will fully integrate green energy to ensure a just and equitable energy transition.
Too often governments send mixed messages. Bold renewable targets on one day, new fossil fuel subsidies and expansions the next. The next national climate plans or NDCs are due in a matter of months. They must bring clarity and certainty. The G20 countries must lead. They produce 80% of global emissions. The principle of common but differentiated responsibilities must apply, but every country must do more. Ahead of COP30 in Brazil this November, they must submit new plans.
With discussions on effective energy transition and its benefits already underway, all eyes will now be on how Nigeria's federal government will align its policy, investment frameworks, and private sector engagements to maximize the economic and environmental benefits of clean energy. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
All right, let's bring you a recap of the conversations we've had this morning and also share with you what's coming up next. This morning on Breakfast Central, the rebased GDP grows by 3.13% in Q1 2025. We're joined by Dr. Brian Johnson to look at what this means. Dr. Brian Rubin, I beg your pardon. Energy transition in Africa, we'll be looking at the UN calling for urgent shift to renewable energy. Akpoti-Uduaghan barred at National Assembly. State creation debunked, loans approved, Senate plenary update. And now let's share with you what's coming up next. Next on Breakfast Central, crisis persists as Obi rejects Datti Abure Peace Pact plateau killings. We'll be addressing the welfare of the survivors, joined by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. House of Representatives approves 1.485 trillion naira proposal. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The deepening crisis within the Labour Party, a party that once galvanized millions under the obedient banner, is now fractured by leadership disputes and conflicting loyalties. The latest twist, you ask. The 2023 presidential candidate of the party, Mr. Peter Obi, has rejected the peace pact brokered between his former running mate, Senator Yusuf Datti Baba-Ahmed, and the embattled Julius Abure-led faction.
The move has sent tongues wagging amongst the party's ranks and raised serious questions about the party's unity ahead of 2027. Now let's break it down. Datti Baba-Ahmed made a surprise appearance at the Abure-led National Executive Council meeting, calling for reconciliation and unity. He even recognized Abure as the authentic chairman. But Obi's camp swiftly distanced itself. The obedient movement, led by Dr. Yunusa Tanko, declared unwavering loyalty to the Nenadi Usman-led caretaker committee, the faction backed by Obi and Governor Alex Oti. Was Datti's move a genuine attempt at peace or a political miscalculation? And that would be a great place to start the conversation this morning, as we're joined by the spokesperson of the Labour Party in Lagos State, Mr. Ife Salako. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Good morning. It's good to have you join us.
Good to be here again.
That last place I ended was the first place I will start the conversation, because I think all of us were shocked when we saw Datti sitting side by side with Abure wearing red, because the party is not red for the party. But would you say that it was a... How did it come to you when you saw Datti in that NEC meeting?
Well, I wasn't surprised. Just like I won't be surprised if there is another meeting tomorrow and Mr. Peter Obi himself is sitting right there. Because it is politics. It is a way to look at things, in different directions. And for the fact that an election happened recently in Lagos State, and whether we like it or not, unfortunately, the narrative faction couldn't actually feed any of the candidates. I was really into the process of the election, and I could tell that there are some candidates that were actually coming from that, structure, and they wanted to get, tickets and all, but they couldn't. As a matter of fact, at some point, a letter came from INEC, all the way from Abuja to Lagos, to say you have to recognize the Abure-led faction, candidates, and that was what sealed it. So, whether
the Abure-led faction is the legit faction.
Okay, so there was a Supreme Court judgment that we all saw, and everybody believed that. I mean, the judgment was actually in favor of the Nenadi faction, but the umpire, INEC, right after the judgment, I was watching them closely. At first, I saw that Abure's name was retained on the website as the chairman of the party, and it was just like that for about a week. And I went back to check because at some point, INEC at the time said they were studying the judgment and they were going to come out. Up till now, we've not heard from them. By the time I went back to check on their website, I saw that they've written, it's still Abure's name, but now in brackets, by court order.
Okay. By court order.
By court order, and it's there now. So it means that they are interpreting either the judgment that says, that Abure still remains the chairman, or they are interpreting the Supreme Court's judgment to mean that, it's in favor. But the problem right here and right now that may seem to be the determining factor between the Nenadi faction and, of course, the Abure-led faction is INEC. If INEC decides where to go about this, it will come to an end and all of this. So whether it is now on this side or on the other side, I don't see any problem, in any member, or if you call yourself a member of the Labour Party, to attend any meeting that the Labour Party
Are you only saying this now because you are seeing that INEC is on the side of the Abure-led faction, or INEC seems to be on the side of the Abure-led faction? If the judgment was in the other way, in favor of the Senator Nenadi-led Usman faction, would you have still had the same position?
I would have to stick to the facts and the reality. If INEC today comes out to say, we have studied the judgment, and the judgment is in favor of Senator Nenadi, and that's where it will be. I said there was an election. People wanted to get tickets. They couldn't because they seem not to be coming from the recognized structure of the party by INEC, and that is a major problem.
Now, let's talk about this recent move by Senator Datti Ahmed to reconcile with the Abure-led faction. He was in a meeting and he said finding peace in Labour Party is his interest. Why would you think the obedient movement and Mr. Peter Obi will distance themselves for what is perceived as a positive thing? There's been internal wranglings in the Labour Party for quite some time now. Isn't it positive for gladiators to sheath their swords and find peace in the Labour Party so people can move forward? What reasons would you think led to Mr. Obi's decision?
For all it was, Mr. Obi's major block of followership is with the obedience movement, and from all indication, the obedient movement, seems to be more sympathetic towards the Nenadi's faction. So it was also kind of like, I'm sure it was to some extent shocking to some of them to even see Datti in that. So and it's not. It's not far-fetched to see that the obedience structure, because the statement as it is, although, the way the media will coin it is that Peter Obi distanced himself, but it was Dr. Yusuf that actually spoke and said,
the obedient movement.
For the obedient movement, apparently, that they, as the obedient movement, does not recognize that meeting. They were not informed about it. They were not, carried along with, in that meeting. And so, if Mr. Datti on his own was invited for the meeting. It is all well and good. And for all it's worth, I mean, there was going to be a twist at the end of the meeting claiming that, oh, Datti has gone to take the presidential candidacy of the Labour Party, which was outrightly wrong. Thankfully, he said it, clearly that he was there for peaceful, moves to see how we can bring everybody together and get things done and move forward. Because for me, as a person, I think the more divided we are, the better the ruling, party, So I just see. I want everybody to come together. If the Abure-led faction is going to sit with Nentawe tomorrow, is going to sit with Mr. Oti, is going to sit with Mr. Peter Obi himself, and say, all of us, let's come together and find a way to save this country. Because, you see, for 2027, for me, it is anything but APC. And that's where I am now. My stand as a person.
We made that mistake in the past. It was anything but Jonathan, and we ended up with something. So
yes.
Metrics.
So I insist. Roll this back to 2015. I will still insist that anything but Jonathan. Because you cannot tell me that you met this. I'm an employer of labor. I have managers that are managing my business. And I cannot employ a particular manager who then probably runs down my business. If I'm probably making 100 naira before you came as a manager, and I start making 16 naira, and I'm going to like 14 naira. And I said, no, I don't want this manager anymore. And I'm not going back to the agency who gave me this manager. I'm going to go to another agency to get another manager. If I get another manager and hold on, and that manager, again, doesn't do what I wanted, I will not go back to the former manager and say, oh, because you ran it down, and this one too is running it down. No, I won't go back. So if I cannot do that to my business, I won't do it to Nigeria. So I hear this thing a lot about, we made that. It wasn't a mistake. Jonathan was running the country aground. It was not doing the right thing. It wasn't. He wasn't even in charge.
But if you look at the metrics of economic indices, the price of food and what have you, the quality of life, and compare that to 8 years of the APC under Buhari, you would say, things were...
That they made it worse. They don't mean that was doing the best at the time. They made it worse. And we can't now say that, it's almost like saying we have to embrace the worst.
What's the guarantee that 2027, your alternative to the APC government of President Tinubu will do a better job? Because
the APC structure is a very, very criminalized structure. The APC structure is not a progressive, as it were. They have it in the name, but it is the opposite, that we're seeing. Of course, from the Buhari, to the Tinubu that we're saying today, I know because I'm into this politics, and I know why Nigeria is not moving forward and may never move forward under APC. The APC structure believes and embraces corruption to a large extent. If you're in the APC, look at the governor of Kogi State. What's his name again?
The
former governor rather of Kogi State. Bello, with 80 billion, naira hanging on his neck. The president from the presidency, he was being congratulated. He was being there are optics. There are things that you can see.
You could argue that the case is in court and he's not been convicted, and they were just wishing him a happy birthday.
Anyway, from the presidency.
Yeah. From the presidency. So, see, let me share a gist here. Internal gist. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm sure people who know this thing knows it. See, there is a governor, right? That was a sitting governor. There is the accountant general of the state who got some money and did not remit it to the governor, but took it to the godfather of the party. The godfather of the party, took the money. The state governor, right, went for the accountant general. It was, according to what we heard, he even went physical, almost like, landing a slap on his face. And this case got to the godfather. And how did the Godfather resolve this issue? He said, you brought this money to me, you're going to be the next governor. He became the next governor. That is the APC structure.
Wahala. Okay.
The kind of structure that empowers criminality.
Okay, let's pause a bit on the APC. Let's come back to the Labour Party front.
Absolutely.
Now you say everybody wants peace. I'm also aware that the Governor Alex Otti and Nentawe Usman-led faction did have a meeting last week where they actually spoke and were pushing for peace to happen. But it seems like Peter Obi is indifferent. He doesn't really mind about this peace accord. What would you say about the coalition? If Peter Obi move with the ADC, are we going to see a mass movement of people in the Labour Party like yourself to also the ADC? Or are you still going to remain in the Labour Party while throwing your weight?
Physically in Labour Party, spiritually
they've even coined it a political name. They call it the Wike style of politics, where you stay here, you camp here, while you are throwing your supports there. I mean, they've named it after the FCT minister.
Well, I'm a firm believer in Mr. Peter Obi. Everybody knows that. I can't even hide it. You know, and of course, I believe in his personality. I believe in his ideologies. I believe that he has the attributes to make Nigeria a better place. So, if it comes to Peter Obi going to the ADC, which he hasn't, right? But if he comes there, it's not a case of me going to the ADC. There is going to be a major influx of people going to that party. Look at what he did with the Labour Party. The Labour Party, you know, the last time the Labour Party had a relevance was maybe 2014 or thereabouts with Governor Mimiko. You know, way back then, there was nothing until he moved to the party. The day Peter Obi chose Labour Party instantly got national relevance. If this man decides to go to any other party, you never can tell what could happen. He has a cult followership that you cannot take away from him. So I want to see a peaceful, you know, coming back to the first part of what you said. I want to see a peaceful coexistence between the internal structure of the Labour Party and even other parties that are coming together to form the coalition. Because with the coalition, right, there is a major, a good chance of, winning the APC.
But this coalition you mentioned is an association of strange bedfellows, and right here, this one on the show, you have demonized, not to use that word, you've castigated the APC's rulership from Buhari to the 2 years of Tinubu, but a huge majority of the personalities in this ADC I mean, just 2 years ago, were ministers under the same APC government. So what could have changed?
So, I mean, Nigeria is so...
Is it not still going to be the same APC in another...
You cannot... Another form, so it's a case of Jesus and his followers. You will still have that Judas. You can't do without.
But when you have 12 Judases, almost 12.
God forbid.
We can start counting.
We can start counting them. No. So here is the thing, right? I was going to say, like, the Constitution of Nigeria has made, has put too much power in the center. And even some political parties, adopted this kind of thing, including our own Labour Party, right? I'll give you an instance. For the chairman of the party, of the Labour Party, to be removed, for example, right? I believe Article 18 or so of the Constitution states that they have to call a convention. Who is going to call the convention? The chairman. For him to be removed. And of course, he will be the one to call the convention, he will be the one to determine who and who will be there. And so it just means that this person cannot be removed. What am I saying? Too much of power that has been concentrated to the center, it makes it easy or harder for anything to happen in the nation. So if you talk about people that are part of the coalition, yes, they are part of it. But when it comes to who is going to be the president of this country, that is when we will now know if there's going to be a difference or we're just going to have, same thing coming around.
Okay, I mean, it feels like there's just a lot, a lot of drama going on here in the Labour Party, because just weeks ago, initially it was the Labour Party saying that there's a ticket for Peter Obi to run unopposed. After a while, they withdrew that ticket. After a while, just 2-3 weeks ago, Akpabio was on this show, boiling, saying that they gave Peter Obi 24 hours to 48 hours to leave the party, or else he will open a can of worms and expose Peter Obi.
Has he opened a can?
Maybe Mr. Peter Obi called to beg
just the way he begged Reno to recommend him to Atiku.
So the question now is, how do we navigate all of this? Just last week or 2 weeks ago, he had said, they had withdrawn that ticket, they had asked him to resign from the party. So what will a peaceful resolution look like? If we're hearing on the one hand, Julius, saying what he said with that press release, and we're seeing on the other hand, Datti Ahmed sitting with him to reconcile, what will a peaceful reconciliation in the Labour Party look like?
I mean, a peaceful reconciliation is just, is between Barrister Julius Abure, Governor Alex Oti, and of course His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. You see, the day these three people sit down, and of course I have to now bring Senator Renade into it. If these four people sit down and say, okay, we want to agree on the way forward, that is peaceful, reconciliation. That is moving forward. There is not going to be anything beyond that particular, arrangement. So every other thing that is happening now is until these people, when they come to this table and they agree, they will agree. They may never even come to it. Unfortunately so, they may never come to it. But at the end of the day, we are all looking for who can actually save Nigeria from the whole problem that is facing this country right now.
The ADC.
Who?
The ADC.
I said who, not the party, not the structure.
The ADC do you believe that the ADC can provide the who that will save Nigeria?
Because the last time an incumbent was ousted was through a coalition. She's right to ask that question.
So I mean, of course, the ADC seems to be like the the new bride in town now, and everybody is coming around and sweeping around. It's fine. The reality of it is, it might be the one to produce the next major presidential candidate for the 2027 election. And I believe that if anybody emerges through that platform, the person will get some sort of attention, and people would want to know who
even if
it
the person that emerges is, for example, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, because we've seen Dumebi Kachiku saying that he believes the ADC structure is set up to push forward Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. And if you take note, of all the presidential candidates at the last elections, he's the only one that has actually resigned from his party officially to be a member of the ADC.
And
presidential candidates.
Dele Momodu,
yes.
Dele Momodu didn't run in the last elections now.
Well, he never did. Well, I mean, I know I saw his own resignation. So here's the thing. I'm not privy to the internal conversation of these people at that level, right? There are some conversations that we've heard. I will give just an idea of what might happen that I know of. On a particular space, Mr. Peter Obi himself said, clearly that if I am given a one-term condition to run on the platform of the ADC, come 2031, May 28th, I would not wait until May 29th. I will pack my things and leave.
But do you think that's right? Is one term enough to solve the problems?
One term of a 4 years. So is that no term. America has not solved their problems to date, but they've moved from where they were to a better place. Nobody is going to solve the problem of Nigeria. In an 8th term, give the person 8 years. The person is not going to solve the problem of Nigeria. The person is going to move us from one particular level in the right direction, and that is what we need. That is what we need. We need to see the trajectory of growth, not regressing. That's the only thing that is missing here. That's what this government has been doing in the last 10 years that they've been there, taking us backwards constantly. So we're saying that one man can take the leadership of this country, and for 4 years, he can put us on the right path. That's all we need. It can be done in 4 years, yes.
4 years?
Yes.
Okay, when we had Mr. Baba-Ahmed join us, he said, just as Oliver mentioned, that Peter Obi has been suspended. Also, it's 48 hours, which, of course, he decided to let go the second time he joined us. But he made a little announcement that the Labour Party will be unveiling his presidential candidate. It's going to be a woman. I don't know if you are aware. Let me use the word aware, not aware.
Or you didn't
He's keeping his cards very close to his
I mean, Baba-Ahmed is at the national structure of the Labour Party. I am a Lagos State spokesperson.
So have you not heard that there's a...
I haven't. There is not. I've not gotten a communique to say that we're going to have a female candidate for the presidential candidate for the Labour Party, and you know that is even on its own. Whatever it is, I am not privy to that information, and I will just be quiet over it because I don't know who the person is. Maybe Olive is there.
No, you cannot be me.
This question might sound preemptive, but if Mr. Peter Obi doesn't emerge as the preferred candidate of the ADC, would you throw your weight behind the person, the anointed candidate?
It depends on it personally, and that's me personally. It depends on the person. It depends on.
And do you expect Mr. Peter Obi to support the candidate that emerges if he isn't the one? Because you have serious heavyweight politicians that all want to be president. In the fold of the...
I mean, that would be Mr. Peter Obi's call. I'm saying that if another candidate emerges that is not Mr. Peter Obi, and if Mr. Peter Obi is not on the ballot, under another party or any other platform, if the person is worth it, why not? Why not? We can consider.
My final question to you would be, in line with what we've seen Datti sit with the Abure-led faction, all because there should be peace, whether we like it or not. And then we're also hearing, like you also mentioned, was Mr. Tanko who made the statement that Mr. Peter Obi did not agree with that. Are you certain that Labour Party will be able to hold its house together before 2027, or are we going to expect any breakup if care is not taken?
So just like it shocked every one of us to see Mr. Datti at that meeting, 2 days ago. It may shock you all tomorrow to see Mr. Peter Obi there, and any other person. For me, politics is very flexible, especially the way it is in Nigeria. So anything, 2027, and to even say that this is 2025.
But the opposition
I think we have long past that this is 2025 conversation. 2027 began
this is the first time that a president got into office, and right after the first year in office, he has started campaigning for another term. It is ridiculous.
He said he's not the one, and it's just the fans that are doing all these things.
He's not the one, but of course, he sees this when he's coming from the airport now. He can call them and say, who are you people? We have not started work now. Take these things off. He can do it.
I don't think we've had it this early in the history of
we've never had
it
experience.
Super early. Professor Alako, thank you for joining us. We just wait in the next few weeks. We'll see what happens to the Labour Party. If the Labour Party will finally mend fences, and if the female flag bearer will step down.
I just want to say finally that I want to use this opportunity to appeal to INEC. INEC should help the Labour Party and do the right thing. That's all I'm just going to say. Thank you.
Are you seeking political office in 2027?
Yes, I will.
What post?
The Federal House of Rep.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, you heard it exclusively here on Breakfast Central. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to break now. When we come back, there's more to come. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. The June 13 killings in Yilwatda and Dauda communities in Benue State saw over 200 lives lost, thousands displaced, and entire families wiped out. The images and testimonies from Benue showed children orphaned, homes razed, and communities equally shattered.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation says 3,160 people were displaced, including 810 school-aged children. President Tinubu pledged justice, but what has changed? What is being done for the survivors? Joining us to shed more light on this discussion is Nigeria's Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Professor Nentawe Goshwe Yilwatda. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us this morning. Professor,
thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Professor Yilwatda, you acknowledged that 3,160 displaced persons in Yilwatda alone. What concrete steps would you say the ministry has taken to ensure their safety, shelter, and access to basic services?
Yeah, thank you so very much for the opportunity to talk to Nigerians through your medium. First, let me acknowledge the resilience of the people of Yilwatda, that despite in the midst of the tragedy that happened in the community, the people are settling. And there's a response from all quarters, from the international community, from the state government, from the federal government, the INGOs, and the United Nations systems, and several other partners are responding to that call. But first and foremost, when it happened, a week after it happened, the president was in Benue to assess and condole the people of Benue State, and he conveyed his condolences to the people of Benue State and interacted with the community and also engaged with the community on the way forward after the aftermath of the crisis. Also, 7 days later, Mr. President sent me back to Benue State to conduct a neat assessment of what happened in Benue State, which I did. Along with I invited also the international community, the United Nations systems. It was also led by the ambassador to the European Union in Nigeria, His Excellency Datti, who also followed along with me to Benue State. And we conducted a complete and comprehensive assessment of what happened in Benue State. After the assessment, we also called for validation of the report that we did, so that all the international partners, the state government, the community leaders, the Development Association, all stakeholders were involved in a comprehensive assessment and the reporting of what happened in Benue State and the response plan. The response plan covered, number one, the humanitarian response plan, which covers things like access to livelihood, food, non-food item in the IDP camps, sanitation, and several other components we need to also cover. The second component covered peace building and social cohesion within the community that we found ourselves, how we can restore and bring peace to the community. The third component covered also the component that dealt with the people also have access to long-term solution, having access to land, how they can farm, how they can do businesses, how we can revitalize agriculture in the community, because most of them are farmers, and how we can also get them back on their feet to ensure that they have another chance to have life again. So these were the components that we conducted. But the good news also that comes along with it was that after we did the presentation of our report, the European Union committed 1.5 million euro yesterday, which is equivalent to about 2.4 billion naira. Now, this money is actually about 2.7 billion naira. Now, out of the money that we proposed of roughly about 6.7 billion. Now, there are other partners that are coming in. Federal government also making their contribution, and state government is also making their contribution. We are hopeful that we can raise this 6.7 billion naira to respond appropriately to all the issues that were raised by the community, raised by the state government, raised by international partners, raised by even federal government, staff that are on ground. So these are the plans and things we're doing to ensure that we tackle and use what happened in Yilwatda as a case study of restoring peace, bringing long-term peace possibility to this program. We've already submitted our reports. The ones that have the security will send to the security. The one that has to do with humanitarian will send to the humanitarian actors. The one that has to do with state government, federal government, local will send also to them also. And the one that has to do with development partners will send to them also. So everybody has an action plan on what to do concerning Yilwatda right as I'm talking to you now.
Well, you've spoken about what the government has done, and this is not made known to a lot of persons. However, we also do hear, I don't know if you're aware, that News Central decided to have a town hall there. And survivors came and they bared their mind, they spoke. Some of them said that what they've heard are just, especially talks from the government quarters that, oh, we are going to do this for you, we're going to do this for you. And those who have lost their loved ones said they've not heard anything at all from the government. Can you shed more light what, your ministry has been able to do, and how are we certain that it will trickle down to the least person, if you put it that way, maybe the children who have equally lost their parents during the attacks?
Now, if you're in Yilwatda, you discover that there are agencies of United Nations and international partners, NGOs, that are also already responding to this issue on ground. The federal government also has sent their own component of contribution through to the State Emergency Agency, that's SEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, have already received what the federal government sent through NEMA. And federal government has already channeled their own contribution in terms of food items and non-food items that can help stabilize people in the IDP camps. That's the first response plan. And the second response was federal government to reinforce security within the community and ensure that people are protected and created safe zones for people to stay. There are primary schools that are called safe zones in the place, homes that are safe zones, that there's protection for the people within the community. And also the same thing with the IDP camps that are also safe zones. So creating of safe zones is part of the federal government response. Providing food items to them is part of part of the response of the federal government. Providing lighting within the camps to ensure that there's light within the camp is part of the response plan. Providing water in the ITP camp is part of the response plan. So there are several response plans that government has done in different ways, along with the partners. And partners are playing a key role. If you look at the footages of the video footages, I've been in the camp myself twice. I've been to all those locations. I've been to all the locations that the people are settling. I've been to the village itself. I did physical and one-on-one assessment with the community leaders, traditional leaders, youth leaders, women leaders. I was with them and we moved from home to home. All the homes that were attacked, all the families that were attacked, I had contact with them. I was in the hospital with them. I was in the villages with them. So I'm not talking from a point of view of somebody telling me, but I was physically present, at all the locations of where this crisis took place.
Now, Honorable Minister, with the 2025 Humanitarian Response Plan targeting $910 million to assist just 3.6 million people in northeastern Nigeria alone, and only 57% of last year's funding achieved, how is your ministry working to diversify and scale up both financing, both international and domestic humanitarian financing, particularly in the face of shrinking donor funding, to continue the important work you're doing? Yes.
I agree with you absolutely that there's a lot of shrinking in the pipe is becoming narrower every day in terms of funding on humanitarian activities. UK has reduced their funding by 30%, France by almost 25%, Holland by about 25% or so, Netherlands by about 20%, and several US by almost 100%. And several most of the development partners For example, the INGOs, they've shrunk their workforce by about 30% and the rest. But this is what government has done also. Government has responded in the budget also. For example, in the health sector, federal government increased the support to the health sector by almost 300 billion, because most of the funding from the US is to support nutrition and other health facilities, HIV and the rest, support for HIV and the rest. The federal government has responded by increasing the budget. The same thing with the humanitarian response plan, also the government has done from its own end. But we're looking for new frontiers, new partners, new possibilities. If you check, I was in Qatar and other countries in the Asian world to see if we can develop new partners that can support us and give us humanitarian support also. Government has also stepped up its own support. We've done also a roundtable within the country also to bring the private sector participation and donor partners within the country, because we have also a large economy that we can leverage on the economy to source for funding for humanitarian activities within the country also. So hopefully also we are doing another hosting in October, where we hope to bring all the development partners, humanitarian partners, and also the local partners within the country, and see if we can raise the private sector donation from Nigeria we can up that game and up those numbers and see if that can be a contributing factor. And we want to also go, hopefully, the long-term plan is to also have, a basket, what we call poverty reduction and humanitarian basket. That's funding that will be backed by law, so that we can have that basket to support all humanitarian and poverty reduction activities across the country. That's the long-term plan. But short-term plan is that October we're going to put a basket up that we can raise this funding and support activities within the country as a makeshift before we discuss the long-term activities on it.
All right. Thank you for sharing the short-term and the long-term plans regarding the basket. And I wanted us to still look at the long-term plans because so far I'm not hearing any physiological, psychological plans made for these people who have been survivors of trauma. Is that something that your ministry is looking into, ensuring that they're getting psychological support to maybe help them get better, process the trauma, and be properly reintegrated into society?
If you look at our peace building and social cohesion response plan that we did for Yilwatda, number one, it covers the conflict mapping within the communities, and because we discovered that the conflict spans beyond Benue State. It spans from Benue into Nasarawa State. So most people who were killed, some of them came from Nasarawa State, not actually from Benue State. So there's need for us to do conflict mapping and also do the assessment of the conflict and respond to it appropriately. So that's one part of what we want to do on that one. The second part is actually the trauma healing and creating of social healing for the people of the community. And that's where the psychological healing and all the rest will come in for us to, and creating also social healing forum and the rest. These are part of the response plan. And then the last component on that one is early warning and early response system that we need to design for these communities that have been attacked, so that we can have response. Even communities that have been attacked, generate areas that we discovered that this conflict is spanning into. We can create early response and early response plan for them. And that is what early warning and early response plan for them. That's what we're actually planning in terms of peace building and social cohesion within the community.
Now, Honourable Minister, let's talk about the heroes in the front line, the protection of humanitarian workers. Between 2000 and between 2020, I beg your pardon, and 2024, 79 humanitarian personnel faced violent attacks, including kidnappings and ambushes. What policies and coordination frameworks are in place to enhance safety and security of aid workers operating in conflict-affected zones?
Yes, these are the discussions we'll be having with the security agencies. The CDS has been very, very helpful in that direction for us to work in coordination between the security agencies and the people providing humanitarian response to communities. And they've been helpful by creating those safe corridors for humanitarian activities and providing protection within those safe corridors. And for now, it has reduced to an extent, and there's almost within the last few months, we've not seen any of such experiences again because of those safety corridors and safety measures taken by the security agencies to ensure that all people providing humanitarian activities are protected also.
All right. I mean, there's one big question everyone is equally asking. How long is the government willing to allow issues like these continue to affect the people? And is there any hope in sight that the displaced persons who are now in the IDPs will one day return back to their homes? These are the questions everyone is asking, because I remember during the town hall, we found out that some persons have been staying in the IDP camps for as long as we can imagine. Is the government doing anything to ensure that they get back to their homes?
Very well. You know, if you check some of the footages that you review, it was a meeting I held in Gomboru Gala in Borno State at the boundary of Nigeria, Cameroon, and the Chad. And what happened in that town hall meeting is there are many Nigerians who have been displaced. We have over 100,000 of them that are in Niger, in Chad, and in Cameroon, who were displaced and they moved out of Nigeria into those countries. But because most of the communities are safer now, they've decided on to return back home. And we signed an MOU with Chad, we signed also with Cameroon, and waiting to tidy up the one with Niger very soon. Once that is, and already so people from Chad and Cameroon are already moving back to their own communities that they felt safe. We're working with IOM and UNHCR to ensure that all those things are done within safe corridors for them to live in. So communities that already we have safety for them, we're providing for them. We're also providing alternative home for them. You know, if you recall, we just launched one in Nasarawa State, where we have displaced communities in Borno State that they feel they don't want to go back to the community again. We settle them in Nasarawa State. And there are some who are actually migrants from Cameroon who were displaced from southern Cameroon and they moved into Nigeria. We've taken them and brought them to that safe homes that we built in Nasarawa State. We're tidying up about 100 in Borno State, another 100 sort of homes also in Kano State. We're building some in Katsina State and also in Zamfara State. All these are homes of providing for those people that don't want to go back to the community and they want to stay in safe community and safe corridors. Those ones were provided for them. And because some of them, their homes have been destroyed and they can't even go back because they don't have resources to build a home. So when we talk of building homes for them, help supporting them to build homes for them. And the Borno State government has been very well in that respect. And we supported them with building materials to ensure that they also help in rebuilding homes to those places also. So these are the programs we're doing to ensure that we will return people back home. Even this Yilwatda crisis, there's a component of rebuilding home for those people that they lost their homes and property. It's part of the response plan that we developed for them. And like I told you, already EU has responded, and we have more people are responding, and government itself is also responding. So once those responses are done, then homes will be built. And like I said, some have already been built. So we keep on building more. And we're also working in partnership with several other governments. Even in a state like Kaduna State also, which are working with the Qatar Foundation to ensure that they build home for the people who are displaced. So there are programs already going on in several states of responding and ensure that people get back to their homes. And my job as a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, coordinate these activities and ensure that they are properly coordinated, funding coming from overseas are properly utilized by state government agencies and people that have been given the responsibility to conduct those programs.
All right. Let's also talk about, how this is being framed. We're seeing here that there are certain bishops and victims who have referred to these unfortunate killings as an act of genocide. They said it's not communal violence. So how would you say that this framing is being addressed at the national level, and what sort of legal or policy implications follow this as well?
Like I just told you that part of the response plan was this peace building component, which is the conflict mapping. Now, when we did some finding about the crisis, we found out some of the underlying issues and some of the driving factors, which since for now they are claims, we have to ensure that we do proper mapping. We'll do proper that's conflict mapping and bring out the real underlying issues, look at the driving factors to ensure that the factors go beyond the killing. We did some preliminary findings, and preliminary findings has helped us to give the security agencies some of these response that they need to do. And believe you me, the security agencies are actually doing their best to ensure that they respond to some of these issues that we've already raised, and community has already raised in that respect. But conflict mapping is sacrosanct for us to actually find out the underlying factors and the driving factors that are creating this crisis in the communities.
Now, Honourable Minister, the rains are here. The rainy season is upon us, and we're still reeling for the effects of the tragic floods in Mokwa, Niger State. What concrete measures is your ministry taking to strengthen early warning systems and improve infrastructure resilience to prevent future flood disasters in high-risk states such as Niger, Rivers, Kwara, and Benue, or is that beyond the purview of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation?
It's within our purview. Actually, the president set up a team, anti-specific response team in that respect, and it's headed by the vice president. I'm a member of that team. The NSS is a member of that team, and most of the agencies of government that provide information on either climate-related issues and some of the agencies that can help in responding to emergencies are all part of this program. And we want to develop a framework for anticipatory response plan for flooding, in the country. The report we presented today to the vice president, and myself, the NSA, and the rest will be there to receive the report. We are hopeful that we'll use that report to now plan for all the early response plan that we need to do. Number one, we are looking at the water level from the Nigeria Hydrological Agency. We're looking at the climate issues data from NIMET. So if this data all these predictions are given to us, then we can now plan a early response plan for these communities that will be affected. With that, we can map all the communities that they have the possibility of flooding this year. Once the mapping is done, and then we cannot provide early warning. We also have a social register that covers all the communities in Nigeria, and we have people. So which means we can, through those numbers, verify telephone numbers and contacts, we can actually warn people ahead for them to either move from their community, or if there's possibility of flood, we can actually ask them to go to safe corridors, and we can provide safe corridors for people actually to move to where they can actually have livelihood when there's an attack or there's a disaster.
All right, my final question on this would be that it's got to do with the reality on ground and what people are equally saying. And let me just read it through. You recall that the court had actually ordered the former late President Muhammadu Buhari's minister to explain where 729 billion naira disbursement funds indeed went to. How are you ensuring that the disbursements of these either funds, materials, and so on are indeed done in a way that Nigerians can see that there's no hidden truth, or there's no, let's talk about just transparency, because this ministry has equally gone through a lot of, challenges in terms of how it disburses funds, how it uses funds to meet the needs of those who are in critical condition?
Let me thank you for that question. But if you observed, in the last 1 year, the minister has been quiet. There's no much noise that used to accompany the ministry. There's all those conflicts used to accompany the ministry. They've all gone. And this is the simple reason. The president directed that there should be no cash disbursement again. So what did we do? First and foremost was to get the social register verified. So we did a verification of all the people who are on the social register. We have 19.7 million households on the social register, covering about 71 million people on the social register. Now, for now, we've verified about 6 million households out of the 19.7 million households. For us, for it to benefit from the conditional cash transfer, you must be verified. Your home must be geotagged so we can locate and know your home. Number two, you must have your account number. Number three, we must have your verified telephone number and verified NIN, national identity number. We must also give you an account, and all those data, along with 138 data sets that normally are captured, are all captured and verified. And a computer will be used to generate and scale up the people and now assess your level of poverty based on the 138 data sets that are captured about every person that will verify him in his home. All those data are normally aggregated and used to predict people that are poor. Now, that's what we use to pay the people. With that number, there are people that we've discovered that we couldn't verify them. So we've dropped them from the social register. There are people that we discovered that they are not within the poverty level. We've dropped them also. So this form we've done, and we've lost almost about 5% of people that are on the social register due to these factors alone. So this has helped us to ensure that we clean up social register, we make it more dynamic, we make it to respond to poverty issues in the country much more better. And also payments are done only people with verified account number. So there's no cash transfer again in any form. So people who quietly get their money, you get an alert, you just go to the bank or you get a POS and you just go and pick your money and utilize it. Now, what is the advantage of this? First is financial penetration. We have, out of 19.7 million households, then less than 30% of them were having accounts. Today, all the 19.7 million people are having a verified account. Like you are saying that out of roughly only about 3.something million people that were having an account, which now you are having new set of people, or roughly about 16 million new account holders across the country that have been generated, and mostly rural communities that were not having an account before. 2, that's financial penetration. 3, more financial services are being penetrated. Because of that, more POS are also penetrating into rural communities. Because it's only when you have customers that you can now get to the communities for you to penetrate. Now, because we have more people who are accessing this funding, there's more financial penetration taking place in the villages. A World Bank conducted a research on early this year, and their finding shows that before now, it takes over an hour on average for a rural person to access financial services. But with what we've done now, it has reduced to less than 20 minutes for people on average for a rural person to access financial services through either a bank or a POS. And these are huge numbers for the country and a huge part of the economy. 3, it has actually penetrated and also reduced poverty across rural communities especially. Imagine in the community that you have 1,000 people benefiting from 75,000. It means you've dropped 75 million in that village that can boost economy, can boost trade, can boost agriculture, can boost rural economy. So there's a huge number of people in the rural community that are benefiting from this program, because most beneficiaries are actually the rural poor. And it has actually increased production, it has increased participation in the economy for them. So these are activities we are doing that has actually made it more quiet than before. So you may not hear the noise of seeing us on TV sharing money, because you don't need to do that again. So that's what we've done to improve transparency, improve also the response of government to the economy, and building a responsive economy in the rural communities.
All right, our final question would be, if you had the opportunity to address the survivors of these traumatic incidents, what would your words to them be?
You know what I tell them? I share with them that 1981, my father was in Borno State during the Metasine crisis. I was also displaced and I experienced it. 1991, my father was transferred to Bauchi, and we were in Bauchi during the Bauchi crisis. Our house was burned. We lost everything we ever had. We survived it. I was IDP camp for over a month. Today, I'm a Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. Through resilience and rebuilding of my life all over again. I was telling them that there's hope and there's light, beyond today. And sharing my experience with them, especially in detail, how I survived, how I've lived, how will that education within those periods have lived beyond today? It has been a big booster for most people that I've talked to them.
All right, Honorable Minister, thank you very much for joining us, and well done on all the work you're doing in terms of bringing succor to these victims, or rather survivors, and we hope to have less incidents like this so we can channel the humanitarian efforts to other people, because there'll be less incidences of insecurity. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for your time, Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much.
All right, from here now we'll go ahead and bring you breakfast headlines. Please stay with us. We begin breakfast headlines in West Africa, Nigeria, where the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has brushed off comments from the African Democratic Congress, ADC, criticizing the delayed appointments of ambassadors at Nigerian missions abroad. In a statement on Sunday, Bolaji Abdullahi, ADC Interim National Publicity Secretary, said President Bola Tinubu's refusal to appoint ambassadors has affected the quality of engagement and relationships with the host countries of Nigerian missions. Abdullahi cited the visa policy update from the United States and the United Arab Emirates as proof of deteriorating relations owing to the absence of ambassadors. But in a statement on Tuesday, Al-Qasim Abdul Kader, Special Assistant on Media and Communication Strategy to Yusuf Tugar, Minister of Foreign Affairs, said the ADC's criticisms were baseless and politicized. Earlier, international policy expert and journalist Adeni Kunu joined us to discuss more about this. Let's take a look. Meanwhile, the ruling All Progressives Congress is set to hold a pivotal National Executive Committee meeting on Thursday, the 24th of July, in Abuja to select a new national chairman following Abdullahi Ganduje's resignation for health reasons in June. Ganduje's exit is widely viewed as influenced by internal power struggles ahead of the 2027 elections. Deputy National Chairman Ali Dalori currently serves as acting chairman, with many party leaders supporting him to remain until a formal convention. Key contenders for the chairmanship include former Nasarawa Governor Tanko Almakura and Minister Nentawe Yilwatda, backed by the North Central region seeking to reclaim the position. The NEC will also review constitutional changes and party congresses, with final decisions expected to align with President Bola Tinubu's preferences. We move now to Edo State, where Governor Monday Okpebholo has reiterated his demand that Peter Obi, former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, notify him before visiting the state. Okpebholo insisted that his comment is a security measure, not a threat to the former governor of Anambra. Meanwhile, Okpebholo's comment has drawn widespread criticism, with many accusing him of attempting to intimidate political opponents. However, speaking at the unveiling of Edo Line buses in Benin City, the state capital, on Tuesday, Okpebholo said it is his responsibility to protect both residents and visitors. We move now to Jigawa State, where Governor Umar Namadi has signed into law the Hisbah Board Bill, officially establishing the board as a statutory body. The law aims to enhance moral discipline and social order across the state. Speaking during the State Executive Council meeting in Dutse, Namadi called it a major milestone after months of legislative and administrative effort. He urged Hisbah personnel to work with fairness and integrity. The board will now operate with full legal backing to promote moral guidance, social justice, and community well-being. The governor also praised the establishment committee for their dedication and emphasized that the board's operations will positively shape the social fabric of Jigawa State. And now let's talk about the environment. The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency has warned of severe flooding in 27 states and the FCT between July 22nd and August 5th. NIHSA Director General Umar Mohammed said the alert following the agency's latest forecast, which aligns with its 2025 annual flood outlook released in April. He said the agency envisaged flooding in more than 739 communities across 162 local government areas. He said the states on the watch list include Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, the FCT, Gombe, Imo, Jigawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Plateau, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, and Yobe. Let's now move out of Nigeria and still stay in West Africa. The Gambia has reported an outbreak of Mpox with the detection of a single confirmed case, marking the country's first known infection. The Ministry of Health said the case was identified on July 18 through routine surveillance and is currently stable and responding well to treatment. Though only one case, this counts as an outbreak since Mpox was not previously circulating in the Gambia. Authorities have launched contact tracing, active case searching, and community engagement to prevent further spread. Sequencing is underway to determine the virus subtype. The outbreak follows rising Mpox cases in neighboring West African countries such as Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea, where thousands of infections have been recorded this year. Mpox remains an international health emergency transmitted through close physical contact and originating from a virus related to smallpox. And still staying within the continent, in Central Africa, a landslide at an informal gold mine in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, where thousands of people were working, has left an unknown number of people trapped on the ground since Sunday. An official with the armed group that controls the area in eastern Congo where the mining accident occurred confirmed the landslide on Tuesday. While thousands of miners have been digging in Lumera in recent months, the number of miners who were in the shaft on Sunday is not known. 12 people have been rescued.
Hakuna makazi juu hii problem ilitokea shimu ilianguka kule yulu. Watu ya mingi tusikia walikufa watu hiyo ni gangapi. Ndio wakasema tuache watu tusitumike juu hii. Sasa kazi kwa vile maiki activity na kwa sana. Kama hivi kusikia milio ya makongaseri vya mingi tu na movement na kwa iko mingi. Hii dosia inatokea tu limoa mwingine tena kwa kimya.
Hata alisa ndio habajulikani ba mingi mais bon nombre de gens ni batu ya Luinja na Ngwesha.
And that's all we have at Breakfast Headlines. We'll now continue with Breakfast Central. Thank you for watching.
Welcome back. Let's go straight to the papers. That's what we're doing right about now. We do have public affairs analyst Sheson Kwade who joins us. Good morning and thank you.
Joins us all the way from our ultra-modern lounge.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Good to have you.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here this morning. A very cozy area where I feel very comfortable.
Thank you very much for applauding the excellence of News Central's lounge.
Yeah, we're going to the next level.
Yeah, shout out to everyone who's put that lounge together.
Absolutely.
You know, to be able to...
A very comfortable place. You can come in like 30 minutes before the program.
Your analysis
and you'll be able to be on point.
And watch the show while you're there.
We must be honest, News Central is a great place to work.
You don't just watch. You don't just watch the news while you're there. You feel like you want to go to the convenience, even when you're not feeling.
And we have the finest convenience.
Don't go there, babe.
It's fine. It's fine.
I wish we can use this hour to just talk about how.
Benga's okay, please. If you go to
Benga started now, please.
If you go to the Daily Independent, there's a story in front of the Daily Independent, a picture which has to do with what took place yesterday. The suspended senator was making a return, staging a return back to the National Assembly, and eventually was denied access. But one man was on ground to cover this entire situation, this entire fracas, like you like to call it, or debacle, whichever name you choose, Sha. That's your choice. But we'll come back to our analysts to talk about it. Sege Ibrahim joins us now. Sege, yesterday was like a movie. Some felt they put Nigeria in the difficult situation by painting us, bad in terms of image out there. This is not the Fuji House of Commotion. This is not someone's house. This is the National Assembly, and that happened. You covered it. Can you share with us what happened and how it all happened?
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Olive. Good morning, Benga. Thank you so much for having me on Breakfast Central this morning. Like you mentioned, it's the People's House, it's the People's National Assembly. One would expect that.
Is Saga there? Okay, seems we have a little network connectivity issue, but let's come back to Sheson, because Sheson equally followed that situation, and it's also on the front page there.
Punch newspaper.
Yeah. Let's still stick to Daily Independent.
Okay, Daily Independent.
Yes, since we have the story there.
Okay.
Before we go back to Sege, what was your take with what you saw yesterday? The entirety of the. Would you call it a shame?
Yeah, I will call it a shame, and I will say this to say that our leaders do not most of the time consider the implication of some of their actions. Both parties here, I think I will trade the blame to. First and foremost, I asked myself the question, fine, the court has given the approval for Natasha to return back to the house. There are certain things I believe that we can always say to behind the scene, but I've observed that we must politicize it. We must come and give trending issues. And I've come to the conclusion that it's just diverting people's attention from the real thing. We're talking about suffering, we're talking about people not having access to this thing, and the next thing we want to come about and discuss is how she's been denied. I've asked myself the question, there are certain things, I stand to be corrected, I may not be up to date as at this morning. There are certain things expected of her to have actually done too. I think there was an apology expected of her from the courts in 2 national dailies, as those things have actually been fulfilled. One, on the part of the National Assembly that is actually given instruction from the video we had, because we saw 2 people came up and said, we have the instruction. Even when Aisha was asking them, they could not make mention of the person that gave that instruction that she should not have access to that place. I feel that our leaders require some certain knowledge of emotional intelligence. This rubs off on us as a nation, and there are ways at which they can manage this crisis that will bring some confidence on the part of the people that they claim they are leading. A lot of us have said it, that Natasha is actually denied access. You have denied the right of the electorate that voted her in doing certain things. I'm sure the people back home would have, one way or the other, tried to talk to them. What they are all displaying here is that the electorate has no say. Natasha may not be responding to the people she claimed to be leading. What they are portraying is that I got this mandate based on what I have expended. I'll do it the way I want, and I won't listen to anybody. But I think that this drama, it's enough. We have so much pending issue that calls for government attention that has to do with the people as against this drama that we are seeing with at the National Assembly.
All right. Let's go back to Sege, who's back with us. Sege, go ahead and shed more light on what happened yesterday.
All right, good morning, Joe. Good morning, everyone in the studio. Let's give this another shot. So yesterday, as expected, she had touted that she was going to return to the National Assembly to continue with her legislative functions as senator. Well, we were at the gate expecting that she would arrive initially. She didn't come, so we thought that it was like the last time she had touted her return. So it was when we were almost giving up that she's not going to make the appearance anymore. Lo and behold, there she was trying to access the facility. And like the analyst said in the studio, she was denied access. By whom? Well, that question was not given the proper answer that it deserved. But then again, she decided to proceed on foot to access the main gate and subsequently to enter the National Assembly. But unfortunately, it was locked. The National Assembly was locked, preventing both entry and exit from the National Assembly because of her arrival. She tried severally, stating that it's her constitutional right to do so, and still no response. It was basically, I literally would not even know what to call it right now at the moment. But one thing I would need to mention at this point is I've been consistent with the fact that she has remained out of the Senate chambers for 4 months. And in this 4 months, it means that the people of Kogi Central have been denied legislative representation. Now, Joe, Olive, one thing I want you to note is over the course of the last 6 months of plenary, a lot of bills regarding, for example, the establishment of educational institutions, the establishment of health institutions, the establishment of vocational institutions by senators and even members of the House of Representatives across different parts of the country, particularly in their own constituencies, at various levels of legislation in the National Assembly. Some first reading, some second reading, some are brought into public hearing stage, while some have been passed and some are awaiting passage. The crux here is, for the past 4 months or so, none of these bills has been, has been passed or has been brought to the fore of the National Assembly with regards to Kogi Central Senatorial District. And the obvious reason is because their representative, the lawmaker who ought to have been doing that for them, has not been in the Senate. This is another situation, of the classic case of an individual against the authorities, like many would describe it. She has also said that, of course, she would be going to the Court of Appeal for a proper interpretation of the judgment of the Federal High Court, so as to ensure that the issues regarding whether the pronouncement by Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court is indeed a ruling of the court or is an advisory that is not binding on the Senate, like the Senate spokesperson had mentioned, of course, and like has been the position of the National Assembly. But then it was, some would call it a futile attempt, but for her, she feels is a statement, a significant gesture to show that, once again, I've tried to ensure proper legislative representation for my people, and once again, I've been denied access for something that ordinarily the court has described as excessive use of sanctions and should be reviewed.
Thank you very much, Sigi. I also want to find out if this issue of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's return was discussed on the floor of the House during plenary yesterday.
Well, interestingly, that's where the contrast is. While the entire drama was ensuing outside, it was really calm and tranquil in the chambers. Aside from the fact that the base legislative proceedings went on as usual. There was not a mention, almost as if the lawmakers were not even aware of what was going on outside. So it was a regular plenary session. Expectedly today, of course, they had mentioned from yesterday's plenary that they'll be carrying out a valedictory session today to honor President Muhammadu Buhari, of course, some of which will be reporting later. But then, no, not at all. Her name was not mentioned. The activities outside of the National Assembly was not mentioned. Usually, like the last time that it had happened, when protesters were outside of the gate protesting and demanding for Senate President Akpabio to resign, on the floor of plenary, he had mentioned this. He's aware that some people were outside, protesting. And it was at that moment he made it clear that nothing of such regarding sexual harassment or whatever the allegation had been at the time, ever happened between him and Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. But for yesterday's case, it was almost as if they were in a world of their own, carrying out the legislative functions as usual, without a mention of what the situations were outside of the gate.
All right. Thank you, Sir Ibrahim, for bringing us up to speed about the happenings concerning this case. We will then come back into the studio and have Mr. Okwade react to this. You've heard everything that he has said. Olusegun Okwade, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, like I said initially, it's a drama that we citizens are really not interested in. And what do I mean? We have more pressing issues that we have to talk about. I listened to the MPC report where we're still retaining interest at 27%. And you expect an average business to survive. In that particular context, we have an issue of insecurity where killing are pervaded. As far as I'm concerned, if our leaders cannot have an understanding within themselves and solve some of these issues, I'm sure Joe, myself, Oli, and Benga, we don't have contribution that we can make to do this. Mr. President is watching the scenario itself, and I feel they feel comfortable with it. What we are concerned about as citizens is to speak to the fact that they should work more on things that will make Nigeria much more better. I'll make a small reference to what happened between the two leaders, Edo State Governor and Peter Obi. You can imagine the way they are just trading with. And I asked myself, are these issues that we should be seeing between the so-called leaders of our country when we have pressing issues around us that requires urgent attention? Look at the drama that is happening in the power sector, states coming to say we want to reduce it, and all sorts. I feel this is, as far as I'm concerned, least of my worries. And like you saw the correspondent said, that those that were inside did not even have a a pause of something happening at their gate is to tell you how interesting that can be. So let's say I play
just backpedal on what you said. You talked about trading words. Who is trading words?
The Babolo issue of threats.
But trading words implies two people are. There's a back and forth.
Okay, well, I won't say between Peter. Okay, between the obedience and because I know it was actually trending where they said there was a threat, and that's why it became a public discourse. I've seen the chief press secretary responded that it wasn't. The governor has come out to say, well, not that intention. I was actually saying what the protocol should look like. So, and that also on that basis, I felt there was actually an extra. But there are more pressing things I keep asking every day that requires the government attention than this drama that we keep seeing in every angle of our economy.
Like the police being on strike because they want a better quality of life.
The same police that will bag you and I of actually carrying out protests. I was about saying that where are the legal luminary to penalize them? Because when we are
those ones are retired.
They are retired.
Yes.
But while they were in service, while they were in service, the same set of people will not allow. Remember, people advocated and protested for their better welfare. And they were actually denied access to some of these things. Now they are out. Now they are out of the scope. You don't have power again. The same way, politicians that you will call today, do this for the betterment of the people. When they are out, they will start telling us story of how better they can do it, which they did not do while they were there. These are things that come from question.
Okay.
That sounds like a shot at the ADC.
Okay, let's get into the papers this morning and look at, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, Osun PDP leaders endorse Tinubu Adeleke for second term. That's the story we'll talk about.
I love that.
I mean, there's so many other stories. Okpawolo insists Obi must inform him before visiting Edo. Federal government issues fresh flood alerts for 28 states. External reserves hit $40.1 billion in July, according to the CBN governor. Africa losing $90 billion annually to imported substandard fuel. Dangote laments. Attorney General Fagbemi's office denies government stake in First Holdco PLC. Wow, we are still on this matter. I mean, they've called This Day Arise reports malicious. But let's come back to Osun PDP.
State.
First of all, did you foresee Adeleke? I know there had been speculations in the past weeks about the potential of Adeleke moving to the APC, but now he has affirmed that he's not moving to the APC. He's a firm member of the PDP, but now he's throwing his support behind Mr. President.
Like I told people concerned, I'm from that state, and with the way people are handling political parties,
okay.
So you can see the passion in this.
The way they are handling things. You can be, Wiki was in PDP and worked for Babana.
Yeah,
today,
so it's a normal thing now.
It's a norm. It's a norm. So, because, and you see, it speaks to the fact which a lot of us have said, some of these political lack ideologies. So you can be in, see even the coalition between, so some people are still staying in their party and saying they are coaliting with this particular party to make things work. So with what we're having in Osun State, it's what is expected. You look at the path at which you can have safe landing. And the man is already saying, even though I'm in PDP, I'm putting my weight, and I want to see how far this drama will go. Because as we speak, PDP is now giving the concession to a southern presidential candidate, which open it up. So if you are on the premise that I'm giving my weight behind Asiwaju because he's a southerner, that the PDP is possibly going to fix give us a northern representation. Now they are saying that they will concede that to South-South. Let's wait to that last-minute dilemma.
Mr. Okpado, I know you've been following politics for quite some time, but I find this quite unusual because you're a sitting governor in the party. You haven't even done conventions. You don't even know the people that want to contest in your own party, which I find this is an anomaly. I don't think we're just seeing this in this dispensation, that you belong to a party, but you endorse a current president in another party before the elections, 2 years before the elections.
Benga is not just happening.
Why are we seeing this?
Benga is not just happening. We are in a country that anything can happen. And that's the way we've
But he
been
doesn't
seeing
even
it.
know who the PDP is going to present, and he's already trying.
Even as at the last election, that the former governor of Rivers State had understanding who the particular candidate was. He still worked against their candidate to favor the current, and he was open there to say, yes, I'm not in line with this candidate given by, and I asked myself, why, if you share the ideology, you should be able to follow to letter, criticize yourself, or you leave them and join the other. But this idea of anti-party stuff has been in existence, not just before this particular one. We've seen that happen even during those, well, you call it anomaly. For politicians, it's a way of having their way to get what they want. And that's why we've said times to that number that a lot of politicians are actually there for their interest. That's why they will tell you that in politics, no permanent friend, no permanent enemy. If they were referring, the chief press secretary to the governor of Edo State was referring to how Peter Obi locked El Rufai out while he was governor. And I asked myself, ADC is now having coalition of the same. So there are a lot of drama that are happening. I won't refer to it as anomalies. In politics, is a way of satisfying your own interest while they are there. So Adeleke is the organizing way to see how you have safe landing, because you understand the plight that I think there is a big train between the main man that acts in Osun State, which is Aregbe, and Mr. President. And Oyetola seems to just be cool to say that let's come together and see the best that we can give to me, because he knows that he decided a lot of things.
There's another story on the front page of the Daily Independent I want us to highlight. It says we import 10 million barrels of crude monthly from U.S. others, says Dangote. That's the first part. I mean, this is a case of going to Sokoto for waiting day inside your Sokoto. Because, I mean, Nigeria is blessed with crude oil, and then you go around importing 10 million barrels. The second part, it says Africa is losing $90 billion annually importing substandard fuel. This is the Daily Independent newspaper. I mean, why are we even importing this substandard fuel? Is there no standard mechanism for checking quality? And also this thing of looking to Sokoto for what is inside your Sokoto.
Yeah, that will always happen there, Benga. One, first and foremost, where is the standard?
That's an anomaly. I just learned that one.
Everything is anomaly before you, Benga.
I just learned it. I'm using it.
Before our leaders, they are the norm that must happen. You see, the importation of some of those products, you ask yourself, for Dangote to be raising this, and every person will tell you that it's because it's into that business. It's just raising false alarm. I'm expecting the reaction of government on this particular thing, but I'm calling out this morning the Standard Organization of Nigeria, at least part of their responsibility, to see to the quality of what we produce locally and what is actually being imported. What is their own side to this allegation or this report purported by Dangote? And I can tell you, you see, a lot of people benefit from some of these things you call anomalies, Benga, and that's why it will continue to be the norm of the day. Even the insecurity you are talking of, people are cashing out on the sales of ammunition. And that's why they will not allow that thing. And you see, part of the problem we have is that don't allow your dog to taste blood. The next thing he will be hunting for human being. Once they taste the goodies in some of these things, the importation will continue, because a lot of people are benefiting from it. When you have, why do people want to travel here and there? Is it not because of extra codes? When you get dollar, can you compare it to Naira, Benga? If they ask you as you are now, if my MD say, Benga, where do you prefer for your next training? You want to go to Uyo, where I just arrived from, or you prefer to go to Dubai? Benga, be fair with yourself. I'm sure you won't pick Uyo.
Of course, I love Uyo.
You love Uyo, but at least you want to explore Dubai.
No, I don't like Dubai for personal reasons. I mean, Dubai, look at the United Arab Emirates. They're very complicit in the genocide in Darfur. They're funding the Rapid Support Forces. So geopolitically and as a matter of personal principle, I don't visit countries
maybe we should ask
that do such things.
Why you bringing me inside the conversation?
Why do you deflect it to her? That's an anomaly.
But you see, an average person will want to actually go on those international trips, and nothing but because of the foreign exchange attached to it. And that's why we keep saying we have a lot of regulatory agencies that are supposed to monitor this. The question is, what are they doing? By now, Dangote has come out to tell us that it can meet the demand of our local production and can even by extension to West Africa. And here we are, we still believe that we must import, whether it's the original, whether it's substandard. The fact remains that we should be patriotic enough to promote that which we are. And it is the same people that will be telling you that local content, buy Nigeria, eat cassava bread, eat this.
Where's cassava bread now? It's been a long time.
Continuation of government policies. You know, one government comes in.
The current government do not believe in that.
Look at the mega schools in Ondo State, for example, that the Dr. Governor Mimiko built. The next government that came discontinued. Brilliant idea. And
it will take me to that one too. I was in New York later and I asked the world-class hospital built by our Senate President.
Yes.
What's
the state?
What's the state now?
Even your home state, Osun State, the Opoimo, the tablets.
Continuation of policy is part of what we keep saying, that inconsistency in our policies. When this government comes in, the next thing you're looking at is what is beneficiary to me that I can use. We don't have idea to say, okay, this administration, even of the same political party, they will come and discredit that which you have. And that's costly, if you ask me, because you are just reinventing the wheel. There are times that they will abolish a particular policy, and months later will come redefining it with another name. Following the same distance, and say that's your own initiative. It's something that our leaders just need to look at.
I think our leaders are obsessed. Some leaders are obsessed with attaching their names to success or projects.
And that's why it will be difficult for us to have a system that will work, because everybody wants everything. You know, I did this.
Exactly.
Not that my country. Because we empower you to do it. We actually empowered you to do it. Whatever initiative. It's not the initiative of you only approved some of those things, because you have lieutenant working across board on whatever you're doing. And that's why we keep saying that having a strong institution and a system will be difficult because of that fundamental thing. Everything wants to be, I did this. It was during my administration, this was actually achieved.
All right, let's go to another paper, the Daily Independent. On the front page of the Daily Independent, 2027 election, PDP finally zones presidency to the south. Holds neck to address issues bedeviling party. Founding fathers move to reclaim party's legacy. Southeast PDP disowns Odefa as national vice chair ahead of NEC. Governor Adeleke Osun PDP endorsed Tinubu for second term. I wonder how the PDP feels about Governor Adeleke endorsing the president.
Current president.
I wonder how.
My sister, that's an anomaly.
Hey, we will not hear the end of an anomaly on the show this morning.
Until when we get to the NEC meeting, we see how there's always an excuse for everything you're doing, and you always get away with it. You'll be surprised that he's having discussion with certain set of people. When he get in there, he just opposes the reason why that will happen, and there will be forth and back on that. I'm actually looking at the position of the Minister of FCT on this particular thing because he will be at that next meeting too.
And knowing that Mr. Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President, has left, does it change the dynamics of the next meeting? And how much of a factor is he in the political dynamics and shenanigans?
Yeah, from what I heard from the leaders, the founding fathers of PDP, they said his exit will actually consolidate some of the beliefs, some of the virtue of what we know for PDP. We are waiting. I heard.
Is Wike happy that he left?
Wike will be happy now because that's what he's actually been advocating for. And now you are seeing the exit of that man, and now you are conceding that to the South. I don't know. He might be one of the people to be considered to part of their presidential candidate when it comes. But I'm only saying that when you look at the South, we have him, we have remember the strong big five. that actually work for
the G5.
The G5.
PDP G5.
That's
Makinde, Wike, Tom.
Enugu State governor was one of them, Abi.
Yeah,
I know they were G5.
No, you're right. G5.
G5.
The G5 is in 5 again.
And they are still intact in
and one of the
PDP.
G5 is planning to go for the PDP presidential candidate.
Is it only one? There are two now. There are rumors, but there are we have. I'm sure people are speculating she is there. Wike has made an attempt, and I'm sure he want to give it a try.
No. Wike is firmly behind Mr. President.
Anyway, next year is convention season. We'll have this conversation next year when the parties inch towards their national conventions to choose their candidates. We are running ahead of ourselves.
Okay,
we wait till lights in Lagos. We are talking of 2027.
And the potholes that nearly.
And the interesting thing is that we are in
these are craters. They've graduated from potholes to craters.
Yes. We are 2025. And I've not been hearing 2026, and I ask myself, is that a calendar that will look up to me? You don't skip,
honestly, psychologically, we think. I've not heard any mention
I've not heard anything that, okay, these are plans, whether this reform. The only thing I've heard about 2026 is come January 1st, the implementation of the new reform will take effect, which given 6 months.
It's almost
that's the only time I've just hearing 2026. It's like this is 2026, we are just moving to 2027. And that's the way we can see
things. It's a year of double promotion. Everything
and it's good when double.
I want us to talk about the rebasing of the economy, which is at the bottom of the still on the Daily Independent. It says you can't celebrate rebased GDP while hunger is killing Nigerians. ADC is blasting Tinubu. So we talked about this earlier. They were celebrating the rebased GDP, saying Nigeria had made 3.13% year-on-year growth. And now they're saying, we had a guest earlier who sort of broke this down for us. But now it's looking like, okay, this is not yet reflecting. If you're saying that there's been some form of improvement, it's not yet reflecting the quality of lives of the everyday Nigerians. And ADC is blasting the president about it. Yeah,
well, ADC is doing what we've asked the opposition to do, which we've actually called on the PDP then to actually, come out with constructive criticism of some of the results that the president or the current administration may be given. If you ask a common man out there, what they want is they don't want all this English, all this economic term. You are rebasing, GDP is improving, our debt to ratio, tax, they are not concerned about that. They want a situation where you will tell them that the current price of egg, which the health ministry will tell you that you must give 1 egg to a child a day, has come from about 6,500 to about 1,000 naira. That's the language where a common man wants to hear that a bag of rice has reduced from 70-something naira to about all those economic. Each time I come on, I tell individuals that care to listen that when you come and you speak all this GDP, MSA, NID, the common man is not out there. What the common man wants to hear is that you have grown our economy, it's improving. And we can see the impact that the price of food and commodity is reducing. You don't need to come on here. I'm sure when your correspondent goes out, they will see a lot of people to tell you that this administration is working. But when some of us who understand English come on here and break this thing down, it's not. In fact, they come after a lot of analysts to say, sir, okay, no wonder we can see that you are living fine. They don't know that you yourself, you have those things that are pinching you. But you don't come out and say what people want.
3.1% is not enough.
Even if you have come to say it's 10.5%, what an average citizen wants to hear, what it translates to, is it impacting in reducing the cost of fuel, where I will no longer fuel my tank with as high as 80,000 to fill. There was a period, the same vehicle, you will use less than 10,000 naira to fill. Now you are using 50, 60,000.
I can't remember the last time I had fill up in a petrol station.
No, if you do that, they have to go and blow siren and call their event planner. When you say fill up, even the petrol attendant looks at you that, sir.
Odogu.
You will call the manager, sir, we have a prime customer here that you need to give an handshake to. That's what an average citizen wants to hear, that things are actually translating, not on paper. And we've said it times to that number, there are fantastic policy on paper. When it comes to implementation and the impact on common man, we want a situation where we wake up and hear that price of fuel has dropped.
Absolutely. We'll get there.
August 15th.
But let's go to Casablanca. in Morocco and see what's happening there. We're in celebratory mode, the Super Falcons. I mean, you know, you celebrate
away from abnormality.
Away from anomaly. And not to go shenanigans. Let's talk to Onyechi Obaro, News Central sports correspondent, reaching us live from North Africa, Morocco. Onyechi, congratulations to you and the Super Falcons. Can you give us an update of what's happening and what's the mood in the camp? Are we ready to bring the trophy home to President Baba-Ahmed Tinubu on Sunday? Onyechi, you're looking so fantastic.
Thank you so much, Binga. At the moment, we're celebrating after that win against South Africa. You know, South Africa has been a pain in the neck, and the fact that they are the defending champions, it was sweet joy to have sent them packing, sent them back home. The girls, yes, they were really happy, though their joy was really cut short due to that injury to Gabriela Salgado. But the spirit of sportsmanship, they had to show their, you know, their feeling, their emotions. We had the captain of the side, Rasheedat Ajibade, having to shed tears after that. But we're still happy with the fact that they had punched their ticket to the final, and Mission X is indeed possible. So the girls are happy at the moment. They have a long day of rest. They've got days to rest before the final. We did notice that yesterday the Nigerian team will be facing Morocco in the final. So they have all the revenge they want to execute in the final of the Women's African Cup of Nations, because it was Morocco who deprived the girls from that final ticket in the 2022 Women's African Cup of Nations. Very
interesting. Can you share with us, I know you spent a little time with the girls while they were in celebratory mode. Can you tell us what Nigerians in Casablanca or in Morocco were equally doing?
I beg your pardon, please repeat the question. I didn't get much of the questions.
All right, I'm saying I know you spent a little time with the girls as well after they won, after the victory. Can you share with us what they were doing and also what Nigerians in Morocco were equally doing in terms of celebrating, for celebration?
If I begin to tell that story, I don't think we're going to go out of here today. It began with Nigerians in Morocco. They kept dancing, taking the dance away from the stadium down to the streets of Casablanca, and they kept shouting, cheering, Mission X is possible. Mission X is indeed possible. They carried, you know, stereos, they brought sound systems, and they were dancing on their own. The thing over here is that after every single match at Lado Bizuli, we have security having to tell fans to, you know, leave the stadium, leave the main bowl, take the celebration out there just to keep their facility in check. So every single Nigerian fan, they know after 30 minutes of celebration in the stadium, they move away to the streets. They take the celebration to the streets, and you see them dancing. Moroccans are really, you know, envious of the happiness we feel every time the Super Falcons, you know, get to defeat any team at Lado Bizuli. The Lado Bizuli Stadium has become our home ground. We've been able to play from the group stage down to the quarterfinal and the semi-final. But the final, we have to go to Rabat. Let me tell you, every single Nigerian fan is saying, we own Rabat. I was speaking the words of one of the fans. I sampled his opinion. He said, Rabat is the new capital of Nigeria. We own Casablanca. We own it right here. We're going to own Rabat when we get to the final of the Women's African Cup of Nations. They're going to come in their numbers. We did see a bit of free tickets given to some of the fans yesterday. That's why they came in their numbers. We need more numbers. Yes, the Super Falcons need more numbers at the main bowl. Why the Super Falcons? I tell you, they were cheering and thanking and appreciating every single fan. We saw Chiamaka Nnadozie, the goalkeeper of the Super Falcons, go with her dance moves, giving us the VAR kind of dance move after every single, you know, cheer from the fans. They kept thanking them, they kept clapping for them, and they are really appreciative that the fans have been able to form different kind of songs for them. I can give you a sample of those songs. We have Jennifer Baby, oh, Jenny Baby, oh, Jennifer. That's for Jennifer Echegini. Then we have Now our Falcons be this, so we no get another one. Now our Falcons be this, so I let all the songs understand. So that is good right now. After punching your way to the final of the Women's African Cup of Nations.
You need to be careful, Sha. This one you're saying that Nigeria is capital of Rabat. I can see people around you there. Maybe they don't give you one kind of eye. So this one. Calm down.
Thank you so much. And I hope the next time we speak to you, we'll have secured Mission X. Thank you for
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful time.
Congrats.
We have to now get out of the studio. This is how we wrap up Breakfast Central. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations to all of us.
We'll come here next week and celebrate the Falcon.
We'll carry
At
the
least
cup.
that will be a diversion of anomalies that we experience.
I
anomalies and political
in 10 seconds. Of course, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Ewe.